Let's get started. Today we've got two kind of separate components. The first is to go over some of the assignments. So I've got the assignments ready. They're not in the EMS yet, but they are on bhacker.com. So we'll go over the assignments, and then we will continue with, I know some people are like, oh, I looked at the assignments. I know some people have pre-looked at the assignments. Don't freak out. You're going to see how easy it really is. It looks complicated, but it really isn't. And I'm going to go over the theme for the assignments, which is Vrml, if I can say that correctly. But let me show you where they are first, so you can freak out on your own later. If you click on the computer graphics link, and you go into the assignment. See, I moved this around a little bit as well, just to make it a little bit more intuitive. The syllabus, is there anybody here who hasn't been here? This is like their first time they're here? Oh, okay, so you were here earlier? Or you've taken one of my classes in the past, so you know bhacker.com. Okay, so you know about this website. Okay, because nothing's in the EMS yet, but it will be by the end of the week. So you go to this bhacker.com website, you come in here, you'll find a syllabus, you'll find a CSLO essay. The midterms for both this and the HTML class are not created yet. So the midterms are coming up. Not for like the middle of the class, but it's a take-home midterm, but it's not available yet. Assignments, don't worry about the programming examples. I left them here because they're all in OpenGL, and haven't put up any Vrml examples yet. If you click on the lectures, you'll see there's like 70, or no, there's not 70, there's 42 of them here, plus a bunch of other stuff. Don't worry about them. We're not going to go through all of them. They are in the EMS. So that's no problem as well. The new part that I put up is the assignments link. So if you click on the assignments link, you'll see the 5 assignments. The 5 assignments are all on the same theme, Vrml. And I'm going to download the first one here. I'm going to go over the first one, which is one that you might want to start looking at, but we're not going to actually get into Vrml programming until next week. I'm going to introduce it to you today, but I'm not going to really cover it in detail until starting next week. However, I'm going to set you in the right direction so you can cover it yourself, hopefully. If I take a look at the assignment number 1 and bring it up, let's just take a look here. Make it a little bigger. Oops. Zoom. There we go. So some people who don't have a computer can see it. The world we live in is three-dimensional. Yes, it is. Most computing happens in two-dimensional screens. So this is a three-dimensional tool that's used on two-dimensional screens. But this is changing. Simulators and games generate lifelike three-dimensional worlds that can be viewed in a two-dimensional monitor as well as three-dimensional devices. Okay, so virtual reality, VR, stands for virtual reality, becomes a buzzword. Virtual reality is still some distance from being universal as a word processor or HTML, but it's an exciting new field with a lot of promise. How does this meet with computer graphics? Well, that's an interesting question. It does because it's written on top of OpenGL and it uses computer graphics concepts. And it's Vrml, virtual reality modeling language, used to model images from a computer graphics perspective on a higher level API on top of OpenGL, because we're not going to look at we're going to look at OpenGL, and we have been looking at it so far, but we're not going to actually write OpenGL native code in this class. Instead, we're going to use Vrml, and it's supposed to. So the purpose of this assignment is to get you to familiar with the process of designing a three-dimensional world. And don't freak out yet. In the standard virtual reality language. The language is widely used. There's plugins for it. Here are the links for the plugins. I'm going to show you those in a few minutes. But I'm going to show you the after look first, before I show you the plugins. But anyway, so there's a viewer that plugs into the web browser. So Vrml is a web browser. There's a web browser plugin that interprets the text that you'll be writing. I'm going to show you all of this in a few minutes. That does some really cool stuff, and it's all controlled by the plugin, and it will do texture mapping, lighting, shading, color, orientation, rotation, rendering. It does everything. And the programming is not really programming. You're creating objects using a higher level API that's on top of OpenGL. And I'm going to show you that in a few minutes as well. So all of the assignments are based on Vrml. So by the time you get to the last one, you'll be an expert on it, hopefully. The first assignment is to create a UFO. So what you're going to do is you're going to combine colors and shapes to make a colorful UFO. Something like this. I'm going to show you this in a few minutes. So you don't have to create exactly like that picture I'm going to show you. Use your imagination, create any UFO you want, and then upload your UFO file to the EMS. Okay, so when I think, what is this UFO I'm talking about? When in here I have a Windows XP, I have a Windows XP partition here, assuming you guys are on Windows, and I see a bunch of Windows books out here. Also works on the Mac. Same concept actually, you just use the same plugins. If you're on an XP machine, you could probably just do this right now if you wanted to. Go to this link right here. It is also in the assignment description. If you click on the link in the assignment description, probably an easier way of doing it. It's this one here, install a plugin for your web browser. What we're going to install is a plugin called Cosmo Vml Player, Vrml Player. And if you click on the link, it'll take you to the website. Or there's another one. I don't recommend the second one. This is the website, the same one I had in the last, in the Windows partition. So if you're following along right now, you can do this and walk out with a working system. I'm not going to install it on this side though, but you can install it on Windows or on a Mac. Assuming most of you guys are on Windows, I'll do the Windows install. So let me go back to Windows here. So what you're going to do when you get to this link is you are going to download the plugin. So there's a little thing here that says download Cosmo plugin. Download the plugin, download and run the installer. Here it is here. I just clicked on that. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Works with all sorts of browsers. Works with Firefox, Google Chrome, Opera, Safari. When you download it, there's instructions here, but I'll just run through the instructions for you. In fact, I'll just download it and run through the instructions so you can see how this works. We don't want the original, we want the newer one. So the new installer is right here. It's a zip file called cosmoplayer.zip. If you click on that, save it to your desktop. It's like a 2-second, let's see, I'll replace it. It's a 2-second installation. And you'll see what this does, actually. It's not a bad idea, even if you're not doing it, to kind of follow along, because then you'll see what to expect. For Windows, yes. You have a Windows system right there, it looks like. Or you have Linux on that, Acer? Is that Windows? Your Mac, you're going to use the second option. On the, you're probably going to use Corona 3D, and I'll run through that in a few minutes. So save the Mac question. Remind me if I forget. So I've just downloaded the zip file. And the zip file was right here. It's item number 2, if you're looking for it. Cosmoplayer.exe. If I run the cosmoplayer.exe, which is what I'm going to do next here, this is a cosmoplayer.zip, which just got downloaded, so I'm going to double click on it. Actually, I'm going to uncompress it, extract all, overwrite the one I have, finish, and then I'm going to double click on Cosmo Player. I'm going to click Run. This will be similar. This is an XP. This will be similar for 7 in terms of the instructions. I'm going to select Agree. Now this is the part where you're going to select the browsers you want to use the plugin with. I'm going to say Internet Explorer and Firefox. I don't have any of those other ones, so those are the ones I'm going to use. I'm going to go Continue or Install. The little screen comes up. It's kind of primitive. Wait till you see what it does, though. It's really cool. Alright, close the little window when it comes back. Now it's installed. I'm wondering, well, you know it's installed when you have a WRL file. And the WRL file has this little icon next to it. So I'm going to click on this thing called UFO.WRL. This is the example that's also given out here. It says, combine colors and shapes to make a colorful UFO, something that looks like this. Well, here's the this. I'm going to show you. And before I show you it done, I'm going to show you what it looks like in a text editor. Because this is the sample. I'm going to bring it up in WordPad. Right. So this is the extent of what I'm calling programming, but it really isn't programming. But I'm going to go through this starting next week. So after my introduction today. So here's a yellow sphere. And so we have a shape, and then we have an appearance material, diffuse. We're running and we're creating a geometric sphere, a spine, a flat green surface around the center here, another shape. So we're defining shapes, and inside of the shape, we're saying, hey, this is a shape. Now this is going to be a cylinder. Here's another shape. Now this one's going to be a cone. Here's another shape. Now this one's going to be a box. So we're defining a bunch of shapes, and we're giving it a bunch of color. Here's a diffuse color. Here's a size of the box. And I'm going to go through all of this stuff, the code part of it. But here's the, you know how many lines, I don't know how many lines this is, but this is the entire program. Watch what it does, though. Watch what it does. So, not too complicated, hopefully. When I double click on it, it's going to bring it up in a web browser. Hopefully. This is the UFO. And you're going to go, what is that? What did that do? Well, it's using the web browser with the plugin that I just installed, and it's going to run this image. So I have this little control over here that can flip it. So this is change controls to, I'm going to put it on rotation right now. This is my UFO. So if I put my mouse here, I've switched the control thing to, instead of zooming in and out, I'm going to rotate. And so if I go like this to rotate, and you can see I've got, and I can rotate this way, and I can rotate this way. I have a three-dimensional object. It's on the bottom, actually. This is interesting. The bottom's got nothing on it. This is what I'm calling a UFO. Using all of the code you just looked at, wasn't too complicated code. But it created a circle, a box, a square. But the square overlapped the circle. It's on the same coordinate, so you can see this sort of effect that's going on. With the cone, this is the cone actually. The blue piece is the cone. In fact, let me go back to the, minimize this. Let me go back to the text so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the entire program that's being used now. Oops. Oh, come on. My computer's running a bit slow right now for some reason. Okay. So here's the blue cone. So this code here is defining this cone, the blue cone. And then we have a green, this is the red box that's over the sphere, the yellow sphere. The yellow sphere was on the top, actually. We started out with the yellow sphere. So here's the yellow sphere. And here's the green, the flat green round center shape. So we say we got one. I got the white piece on the top too. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 different shapes that are created that are put in the plane at the same, essentially they're put in the plane overlapping each other. They're all at the same, because they're all starting at default positions because there's no positions being specified here. Well, there is, but there's a radius, there's a height. But it's all at the at the 0, 0, 0 point on the XYZ point, so it's all in the center, which is how they're overlapping like they are, which is actually kind of cool. This is all you're doing for the first assignment is you're going to create your own. You don't have to use these though. Use different shapes. So a cheat sheet method of doing this, if you want to start on it early, is to play around with it. I highly recommend playing around with it. This is given to you. Download this. Start playing with the different shapes. And you're going to be wondering, well, what are the different shapes? Ah, good question. If you go back here, and I was going to put, oh, here it's up here. I was going to put this in the Word file, but I didn't. There's a couple of different demo sites and tutorial sites. Example of VRML models. If I click, I just clicked on this model actually. Let's see if this works. Try out VRML model. Well, there's, here we go, animals, shapes. What I'll do is I'll put these in the lecture on the video underneath. Actually, no, I'll put this, I'll modify the assignment maybe to add these links to the help pages, which is probably good because, well, you know, I'll create another one. I'll create another file, stick it up on the bhacker.com that has these links in it, so you don't have to write them down. That will have, for example, here's another one here. These are nice places to learn about VRML, or you can just do a Google search and you'll find a ton of different documentation. There's no good books on it. It's not mentioned anywhere. It's an open source utility. There's no books on it. But there's a ton of demos out there. In fact, here, this is probably not a bad one either. It's VRML 2.0, which is what you're using tutorial. And that one's at a university website. So I'll put together a document that's got, this is actually not a bad one either. It's got a bunch of links in it that will walk you through the concept of creating. Example here, you know, if you press on the items, you can see here's a box. So actually, I'm just going to save this to the desktop to show you what I mean. So what you're going to do to learn this is to start out kind of small and take as an example this box and the box code. Check this here. I don't know why my computer is running like this. So I'll be downloading something. It probably has a virus or something. It is a Windows partition. Hello. Open. We're good. Here we go. All VRML files start out this way. This is just your orientation to the concept. It's a little header on the top that says this is VRML 2.0 and it's UTF-8 compatible. You can actually put a space in here if you wanted to, and that works. And then we're going to create a shape, and the shape's going to be a geometric box. So this is like hello world for the VRML. If I save it and I double click on it, I'm going to get a box. It's for, this is where I pulled that example from actually. I'm going to say I'm going to allow blocked content. Yes. Here's my box. But you see how I can move the box? That's by the controller. So I'm going to put this here on rotate. You can't see because the box, let's see, wait a minute. I thought I had it, oh, there we go. I can sort of rotate the box, but it's all white. I didn't put any color on it. I could put color on each one of the sides of the box and you could see it rotate. But all this rotation and stuff is part of the plugin. We can also, what we're going to do is, okay, so you're going to start out this, you're going to build a spaceship. And then the spaceship's going to land on something. So you have to create the bottom. This is assignment number 2. You're going to create the landing pad. And then you're going to make it so that the spaceship lands onto the landing pad. So it's animation, yes. It's actually quite easy. It's just a couple lines. And then you'll make it so that you can touch and use the mouse to land it. Or, because right now we're just rotating. This is giving us just basic rotation, which your spaceship will rotate on its own once you create it in the browser. All browser plugins are going to do the same thing. If you pick the other one, it's going to have the same effects. So So this link here, if you're interested in it, will be one of them that I'll put up. But it's this one here is kind of long. You have to type it, write it down. It's at another university site that teaches a similar course. I can probably find the original link that this comes from. It's from the official VRML materials that are out there. But I'll get you some links. And so what I liked about this particular site was, you know, here's that example I just showed you. And then we can take it a little bit step further and we can add color to it. Here's a cylinder. Here's a sphere, radius 4. Here's a box with a different size to the box. And then, you know, testing it out. And then there's one here that adds color. So you want to add color and you want to add shapes. So you're going to create a bunch of shapes. And you're going to put the shapes together to create a rope, to create a UFO. And then the UFO is going to, that's all you have to do for the first assignment. And then the second assignment, we're going to take it and we're going to add some animation to it. And we'll look at the animation features of VRML. And then on the third assignment, you're going to do a slightly different theme. And then on the fourth and the fifth assignment, I believe it's changes to a humanoid. So you're going to create a humanoid, and you're going to have the humanoid move and walk and stuff like that. You can actually add sound to this as well. And you can actually put this on a website and use this as part of your websites, which is actually kind of cool. And there's some websites out there where it gets a little plug-in that shows up in a little window, and then there's your robot going like this, or whatever, your dancing robot, or whatever it is you happen to create. So it's a lot of nice functionality that's given to you that's kind of very easy to work with, and there's a section here on color. So I'll put this link out there in RGB scale so you can sort of see. It's a great way to get your feet wet with both virtual reality, with computer graphics, learning how to put it together, color, diffuse light. So in fact, we can even do, I have one, but I don't have it with me. You know, the Pixar light thing that casts the light. You know, it'll do that. It does all this. VRML is pretty cool. It does all of this stuff. And so as an example here, I got a tennis shoe, a little bit more complex. So let me show you some of these examples here to give you a better idea about what it's capable of doing. It's going to load up. There you go. This is really weird. I'm not quite sure why it's running so slowly. Usually runs a little bit faster on my computer. But, here's a shoe. I'm going to switch the control over to the rotation. Oh, actually, I thought I switched it over. Rotate. So you can see I have shoelaces on the shoe. There's okay, so this is more complex because it has a light source. And the light source is casting, so you can see how the light changes. In fact, look at this part here. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Hey, stop. See, but if I rotate this way, the light, it's not hitting the light source the same way. So if you had like a house that had a walkthrough or something, you can walk into a room and you can get the light source, and you can, you know, as the person's walking past the light will cast on the object. So the light is external to everything else that's going on, and you're just adding another component to the scene. This is actually called a world, and it's a world scene where we can put multiple objects in this. And this is not just a shoe. This is not like, you know, create a shoe. This shoe is made up of a bunch of different smaller components that are giving you the illusion of a shoe. In fact, probably could have put some tread or something on the bottom of that shoe. It looks pretty basic. I do see the heel, which is kind of interesting. No, there's no heel. There's an illusion of a heel. That's pretty flat. But you can kind of see on the inside. In fact, if I zoom in a little bit here. Let's see, zoom it in. Yep, now I'm going to rotate it. Oh, here. There we go. See, if I zoom in on it, you can kind of see where it's a little bit rough. In fact, the top part of the shoe, this part up here, is not even. It's kind of hacked a little bit. Not the most perfect shoe. You can see it looks a little bit more computer generated than it does. Farther away it looks better. You can even see like this pieces of here on the side, you know how they're just like little, these are the shoelaces zoomed in, like little squared, they look better actually zoomed out. But that's the shoe. I'll show you another one that it has, oh yeah, actually, I know what the other one is. You're going to have a chessboard. A chessboard that you're going to do is, one of the assignments is I give you the board. You're going to put checkers or chess pieces on the board, and you can move the chess pieces around. And you're trying to create a chess game. These are the pool of fish, swimming fish. This is giving you animation. Or if I just leave it alone, it's going to move on its own. This is one line of code, actually, it's not too bad. But this is a world scene because if I rotate it, I can see that there's a sky. This is the water. Oh, here's the sky. Let's see if I can get back in. I turned the scene upside down because the picture was too big. If I zoomed out a little bit, I can probably see the whole big picture. But this is the sky and this is the water that's underneath it, and the fish are in the water. So I'm putting them back in the water. So we'll go from the. Oops. There we go. Now we're back in the water. And I'm sure I can get the sky back up. Up. Well, alright, here we go. Now the fish are upside down. The fish are in the sky now. But the background is different than the fish. And the fish is just one fish that's duplicated in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different colors. But it's the same fish. And it's this is actually this is an example of a transformation, or we're duplicating and then we're transforming the fish with different colors, and so it's really just one fish, but and then the animation is the same. All the fish are really doing the same thing actually, and they're going around in a circle, by the way, but you can't tell. Well, maybe you can tell. Here, they're turning the circle right now. They're going back this way. They're just going in a circle. But this is what we'll be doing in one of the assignments as well. This is a little bit more complex. This would be more along the lines of the chessboard assignment. Another one, and this one's kind of crude, but another one, an example. These are examples I'm going to go through as we go through the tutorials. I'm just kind of previewing to give you a better understanding of what it is we're doing. This one's going to give us a world that's kind of sloppy. Here it is here. This is water. It's running through the canyon. Here, let me switch it, put it on the rotational. I can rotate it this way, and I can sort of see I have objects, but I have chess pieces here, and I can't move the chess pieces. I'm just rotating the world here. This is given to us automatically. So, in fact, I'll show you the code for this in a few minutes. But you can see how they can get the overlapping. Like there's a ball on here. And the ball is transparent, and there's a couple of chess pieces that are created. I don't know what that thing is. But this is the, I don't know, the bushes or the ground or something. And then outside of the scene, we have the water. And the water is coming through this way. The blue stuff's supposed to be the water. Oops, I just turned it. Now I just flipped it. There we go. Now I have it upside down. So you can really see it's a true 3D model. I'm looking from it, and if I were underneath it, I can see the bottom of the pieces. The chess pieces are actually kind of, or the things are actually kind of cool. So I can rotate it back. So it kind of shows you the plane and the view plane and the viewpoints. And just to give you a heads up here, this is let's see, this is lab 2. This came out of a tutorial that you can build yourself. That came out of that. One of the links that I'm going to give you. And all the code for that huge elaborate, isn't really that huge and elaborate, is it's about this big. It's not too bad, actually. It's just different pieces. So white, like, example for the viewpoint, correcting the viewpoint, the background, creating different, and these are comments, by the way, just to kind of say. Or actually, this one's using user-defined functions, which is kind of a little bit more, not complicated, but a little bit more entailed. This one here actually is a texture map without the images. So we're going to look at texture mapping, and when we look at texture mapping, I'll apply that towards virtual reality, Vrml. So you can see, it's already on rotation, that's good. So the white sections have images that aren't on there because I didn't download the images. But you can kind of see the three-dimensional view of the car. So you can kind of see inside and outside. Kind of get a feel for what the car is doing, which is kind of cool. So that's the problem with this Cosmo. It'll spin uncontrollably because I moved it up too quickly. So then you just click on it, it stops spinning. So here's the car is upside down. But texture mapping would apply an image to the surface. So it gives the ability to make it more realistic looking. There's also wireframing that we can do with this as well. You can wireframe the image out. So that's a preview of what we're going to be doing for the assignments for the course. It takes all of the computer graphics concepts, and instead of having to write something in C or C++ and having to, like, you know, in OpenGL and have to do the low-level programming part of it, we're going to use a higher-level API for it. And this is actually one that you might want to incorporate as well into websites, because you guys are, some of you are digital art students, and you might be thinking about like web development. You just embed the plugin into the web page, and the user can play with your car, your robot, and stuff like that. It actually creates kind of a really cool interactive environment for you. I believe, okay, so, oh yes, one more thing. I also, and I'll put this link as well in the my link file that I'm going to give you with all these URLs. There's a editor. You don't have to use an editor. You can edit these files in Notepad or in TextEdit. But if you want an editor, there's another editor that you might want to select. It's called Vml Pad. It's like Notepad, but it's for Vrml. And if you download this one, it's and I'll put the link in the file that I'll post for you. And it looks like this. Actually, I'll just leave this up for a few minutes. When you download it and you install it, the install is really easy. It looks like this, and it just allows you to open up files. In fact, here, let's take one of these. I'll take the tennis shoe, and I'll open it with Vml Pad. It like tries to automate things for you. Let's take it. I think it's under Vml Pad. It's under program files. Probably not under program files. It's probably out in the main directory. Let me find it real quick. I didn't link it. Actually, I just installed it this morning. Let's take a look here. And I could probably, you know what? I'll just open it up from inside here. We'll just go this way. File open. There we go. And I'll just take the box. Let's see. I'll take the tennis shoe. Kind of like Notepad. Doesn't really do very much. I wish I would color code or something, but it doesn't do that. But instead, under the tools, you can run it from here. So you can preview, and all it does is it basically automates it, so it opens it up like this. I just clicked preview. It doesn't do much for you. So the tools aren't really like drag and drop, although I hear there's one out there that does that. And you get really desperate, you can't do it by writing the actual object shapes and stuff. There are some GUI, but not too sophisticated, where you drag a component and here, put a box down there, line it up, and then you can look at the code and see what the code's doing, and probably have better luck adjusting it through the code than through the drag and drop. But I'll leave that to you to investigate, actually. I'm not promoting the drag and drop technique. So, although I'm not going to know how you made it, really. So, but that's another option. Vrml Pad, another option if you're looking for different ways of working with Vrml files. Let me show you something else as well. I'm going to show you the other plugin that I don't have installed on my MacBook, but should work, which is called Corona 3D. So I clicked on the Cortona 3D, And in here, I believe that I did this on the Mac partition. It's not on Windows anymore. And looks like it's only supported on Windows. All right. Here we go. It's Corona Viewer for iOS. This is the one you want. If you click on the Corona Viewer for iOS, for those people who have a MacBook, let me just show you what I did. It's the second link. So the first one's for Windows. Actually, they're both for Windows. I believe there's also one for Cosmo for the Mac. I just didn't see it easily. But on the second link, if you click the second link and then go to the, click on the one over here, it says Viewer for iOS. You'll see the one that should be compatible. It's going to be for iPhone, iPad, which is really cool. Actually, there's also an applet where you look at from the internet. You can look at your VRML images on the iOS, which is really through an app instead of using this. There's also a plugin for the Mac that's not iOS. It's OS X essentially. I don't see it here, but I guarantee it's on this website somewhere, so you'll have to look around if you're on a MacBook to find the plugin. But it's supported on everything, so that should not be a problem for you. And it works with Safari as well, so it's really not a problem. And you don't have to use either one of those two plugins if you don't want to. There's about 5 other plugins out there. You might find a plugin that you like better. And make sure that you're supporting VRML, and it's 2.0. Which is the current version of the plugin. Questions, comments, or concerns about the first assignment? The first assignment is wide open. You can create anything you want with this. Now, does you feel better about it now? Or you feel even more concerned about it? I don't know. I keep saying people. A couple of people were going, this is hard. It's not as hard as you think it is, actually. It's not as, it looks like it's really complicated. But it's not complicated. Next week we're going to be going over and we're going to be building stuff. So what you want to do between now and next week is get your computer set up. So install a player so you have it running in your browser. Use that assignment number 1 as a means of getting it, hopefully. I will be doing it on my MacBook. If you're having a problem finding a player for the MacBook, send me an email message and I can tell you which one I'm going to use. Because I haven't got it installed on my Mac partition yet. I just was primarily interested in the Windows people because they seem to take a little bit longer. Everything's so much easier on the Mac. So Windows people have a tendency to have to work a little bit harder on stuff. So, and I'm not a Windows fan. Anyway, so long story short, next week we're going to be building some shapes. So bring in your computer. So that's your homework between now. And then think about ideas for your UFO, because we can start building a UFO kind of thing next week as well. And I'll show you the kind of pieces. So this week, what I want to do is go through, and I'm going to end this video and start a new one so I can organize the info. So this was the video that is on assignment number 1. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to do. One more thing before I put it away. You can also preview the other assignments that are here. They are all the real assignments now. So in the assignments link, I believe this one's animation, and then this one, let me just take a quick peek at this one here. I'm going to just open it up in preview. Well, there goes quick. Is this the humanoid? Oh, here it is here. I might as well just save it to the desktop. Oh, the checker game. The checker game, I actually give you the, I wonder if I have this installed already. No, I don't. If you get this, it means it's not installed, because it's trying to open it up as a file. I give you the checkerboard. You just put the pieces on the checkerboard. And it doesn't have to be checkers. It can be anything you want. You can put, like, create any shape that you want and just put 5 of them out there on one side, and then create another shape, put 5 of them out on the other side, and then we'll play a game of checkers, essentially, with it. The other one is the humanoid, I believe. Let me just download these guys. The humanoid's actually kind of fun because the humanoid, we can apply some animation towards it. So number 4 is the animation. You're going to have some interacting objects, and you're going to do texturing. You're going to do a texture map on an image. And I'll go over those concepts as we go through the course. And then the last one is the humanoid. Yeah, humanoid. So you can build a humanoid with arms and legs and stuff. And then have the humanoid do something. So, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I'm going to end this one and then start the lecture part.